This week on Quality Digest Live, we find out if engineers are more creative than designers.
Plus, developing smarter, sharper team members. That and more when we come back.
And welcome back to Quality Digest Live for January 11th, 2019. QDL is your weekly look at who and what is making the news in the world of quality. I'm Mike Richmond, publisher of Quality Digest.
That's right, and I'm Quality Digest editor-in-chief, Dirk Ducharme. I was reading tech news this morning.
Okay.
You know, the CES show, the Consumer Electronics Show in Las Vegas. That's just wrapped up. And
Right
that's
now,
always a really kind of cool thing because that's where all the new electronic gizmos for the consumer market comes out. Right. And of course, obviously Amazon's Alexa, smart speaker, was there. Alexa, just so anybody had it turned on would come on. I always love when that happens.
Right.
Make it look up random stuff. So Alexa obviously is controlling, giving you the capability to control more and more Internet of Things, IoT devices. So you've got, you can control your lights through Alexa. You can control your thermostat. You can control maybe your home alarm system. You can monitor, via Ring. You've probably seen the commercials for Ring. That's like a doorbell / camera that goes on your front door.
So as you're driving home, can you tell Alexa to pop a beer for you, get your slippers, and get your paper?
Well, you're close. And actually, we'll get to that. We'll get to that in just a second. And also, actually, one interesting development is for Alexa to control the keys to your house or your garage, for instance. And actually, this is kind of being set up for delivery. So that Amazon comes to your house rather than leave, because this is a problem, rather than leave a box on your porch. If you want it home, the delivery man could, via Alexa and obviously all the protections that you need, but unlock your door, put the package inside your house, and close the door, right? Just kind of a neat idea. So the ability to, of course you can do that yourself. So the ability to unlock and lock things. But also there's actually kind of a newer one that I was kind of surprised about. This one caught my eye. Kohler, you're familiar with Kohler,
the faucet people.
Faucet people. Yes, you can now get the Kohler Numi 2 intelligent toilet.
What?
That's right. You can control your toilet through your Amazon Alexa.
Wait. I can control my toilet just fine.
No, but not this way. No, this one's got some special. This one's got some special things, man. That's right. Well, some of it is kind of practical. Water efficiency checks to kind of make sure, maybe report you. If your water efficiency isn't quite there. You can control the lighting for the toilet.
Now wait a minute.
So you can make your toilet like blue or red.
You're not going to tell me there's any diagnostics that are involved in this toilet, are you?
Yes, there are.
No,
there
please.
are diagnostics. That's right, in the toilet. And actually, what's really cool is that sitting on the toilet, you have access to Alexa. Okay. You can talk to your toilet. Well, think about it. This is really cool. You're sitting on the toilet, you're pondering things, right? And you can say, Alexa, what's the latest news? And it could just talk to you. Your toilet can talk to you while you're sitting there. I think that's awesome.
Didn't I see this on Look Who's Talking To? Wasn't there a scene like that? Guys, back there, you guys know all the movies, no? I think I remember something about this in the movie. But
I think it's brilliant. And also it can preheat the toilet for you.
Wait,
kind of
what?
do all this. That's right. This is important stuff.
Why do you want your buns warm?
Well, hey, I'm telling you, cold morning, you come out there. And also, actually, if you think about it, if you link all these things together, it's kind of cool. Suppose you sit down on the toilet and you realize you're out of toilet paper. Okay, so you say, Alexa, order toilet paper. And if you have the one-day delivery, you can actually sit there, wait for the delivery man to come. He can unlock your door because he can do the key delivery option now on there, unlock the door and actually deliver your toilet to you while you're sitting on the toilet. I think it's brilliant.
You've been sitting there for a long time, Dirk.
Hey, sometimes you got a good book to read, you'll be there for a while. So I thought that was actually all pretty cool.
Boy, Dirk, I don't know really.
From the CES show, there you go.
I don't really know quite how
Inventions
to
you need.
Well, I had the idea of having, literature on the paper, on your toilet paper.
Oh, sure.
So you could read as
you could read it.
and then you could
But
use
now
it.
you don't need that. You just say Alexa.
well, could they do this? Could you open your bathroom window and order a drone to bring you the paper and then deliver it right there?
I think that's awesome.
You know?
Just drone comes in there, kind of looks around with the camera. Oh, there you are. Hey.
Drops it right there.
Drops it right there.
Wow. If you think about this semi-seriously, because how seriously can you really take this? But okay. But if you think about this semi-seriously, what you're saying is that there's an idea that you want to have all aspects of your life connected.
Right. That's basically what it's coming down to. Right.
So, but I mean, come on. I mean, isn't this going a little far? I mean,
well, if you have $7 or $8 grand to spend, which is
that
what
how
this toy
much it is?
Yes, yes.
You gotta be kidding me.
So it's obviously not for you or me.
Does it come with a gold-plated commode? I mean,
well, the commode lights. So
okay, there you go. That part I don't get. So it lights from like from the bottom.
From the bottom,
up?
yeah, or around the sides or something like that. Well, if you think about it, it's dark. You come into your bathroom, you can't find the toilet. Who knows where you're doing your thing, right? Your toilet lights up, so you see where it's at. Makes it easy to aim.
Target in there.
Little targets light up.
A little laser control, laser overlay target. It could be.
I think it's brilliant.
Wow. Well, whatever. I guess if you go to CES and you're in Vegas, I mean, you're going to go to that.
And you got $7 or $8K to drop.
Don't go to the crap stables.
No.
Very good. All right. Well, let's move on if we could from that. As interesting as that is, we've got a story that ran this week on Quality Digest Live that was a very interesting management piece called "How to Get Smarter and Sharper Employees." It was written by Wes Cow and it appeared Monday on the Quality Digest website, and it was originally published on Wes Cow's own blog late in 2018. I actually peered through her blog. Very interesting woman. She's a consultant, a marketing consultant. She's worked with Seth Godin, who many of us know out there. Also a consultant and a writer and a thinker about process and management and things. And she's got a really interesting perspective on, her specialty is doing this, working with employees.
Okay.
But she's got a really interesting piece about marketing in general on there. So interesting site if you want to check that out.
Okay.
Wes Cow, K-A-O, and W-E-S is her first name, so you might want to check her out. Anyway, she's a marketing consultant, and as I mentioned, the specialty is helping her clients think strategically about how to bring their various products and ideas fully to life. And that often means coaching leaders to better coach their teams in order to extract the highest level of rigorously thought out ideas. Companies that can nurture their people's creativity and harness it for the overall good of the organization are really the ones that stand out from the crowd and are going to achieve excellence in whatever they do at multiple levels. You know, a guy in our organization does that really well is Jeff Dewar, our CEO. Jeff has done this process that I'm going to talk to you about here that Wes Cow explains. This process of really allowing you to flesh out your ideas. Allow you to flesh out your ideas. You come to with an idea and it's half-baked maybe, but he helps you develop it. And the process I'm going to describe here is really the process that Jeff uses. What it involves really is the good old Socratic method we've all talked about. The idea that you're going to repeatedly question and push, respectfully push for a deeper, better understanding of the issues that you're facing in the market or whatever it may be. And better solutions are going to emerge from that. They're going to help address those issues. I mean, that method, the Socratic method, has been used obviously for a couple thousand years now. And really what it's about is again, being respectful, asking you if you have an idea, all right, what does that mean? What do we do with it? How do you get all that out of it? And you try to build from that a sharper idea of what that idea can actually be when it emerges fully blown into a product or a service. Now the opposite of that is what she refers to as lazy thinking, where team members may feel their job's done when they come to the boss with a kind of a half-baked notion that only maybe peripherally addresses those specific issues that we talked about. But you see, really, if you think about it, even those really weak ideas have a lot of potential.
If they're fleshed out.
If they're fleshed out eventually. And you want to get a lot of them because some of them have more potential than others. So you want to get a lot of those ideas. And the key as a leader is really to help your direct reports kind of fine tune many of those loose throwaways into tightly constructed solutions that are going to solve the problems that you want to address. And that brings us to the role of the leader. I mean, it really is to get the best from your team. You want to lead them to refine their solutions and accomplish that thing. So the questions that she asked, that she suggests you ask to help kind of generate those rigorously thought out solutions from partially developed ideas include things like this. Who is this for?
Okay.
Okay, I mean, good. That's a great starting point.
Yeah.
You know, you come to me with an idea. Okay, who's it for? Who's it going to
Who's the benefit?
Who's
Yeah.
the customer?
Yeah.
Right. It could be an internal customer. It could be an external customer. But
Right.
understanding who it's for first is a really good place to start. What is this for? You know, what problem is it intended to solve? The basics of that sometimes are overlooked. What is this supposed to do? Right.
So basically, the first part of this is just
Who
is this an idea just to have an idea, or does it have a
applicability?
Applicability.
Yeah.
Right,
Who's it
right.
for? What's it for?
It can be a great idea, but if it doesn't serve anybody, is it worth spending
Is it
money
worth
on?
spending? It doesn't matter. Why are we spending our
Right.
time? What's the hard part? All right. So how do you look at this and say, okay, what is some bumps in the road that we can anticipate because other competitors are doing it, they've tried it already, or we know our culture is such that it's going to have this problem? What do you anticipate is going to be the hard part about implementing that idea? So anticipating that is really important.
Right.
What would success look like? This is a fascinating one to me because, you know, it's really easy to say this is great. You know,
Yeah.
Step 1, do this. Step 3, profit. Right.
Right.
Step 2 is we'll figure it out. But what does profit mean? I
Yeah.
mean, what does that mean? What does that look like? Does that mean we're going to capture more market share? Does we're going to, drive other competitors out of the business? Are we going to just make more money? Are we going to have a new
Yeah.
division? Are we going to learn something? What is success?
Is it even
look like?
measurable?
Is it even measurable? That's
Right,
really an
yeah.
important part of this. What are the constraints? Theory of constraints is something we talk about a lot
Right.
in this industry. What are the constraints to that? What prevents us from achieving that? It's important to understand that. And finally, how can we experiment with this thing or this idea in a way that requires less overhead, and even less overhead, and even less overhead? And yes, Cow indeed says that you need to ask that question 3 times because she feels that's how long it really takes to actually pare down the experiment. She comments that you'd be really surprised at how much actionable data you can acquire from even a really small test.
Yeah.
Many times we think we need to test a lot of factors and experiment with big cross sections. Maybe not, and you can always do that later.
Right.
You don't necessarily have to say, well, we need all this information. Let's start with the bare minimum, see what we learn from that, and then that also may inform the experiments down the line.
Exactly, yeah.
So it's really important to be as pare down that much as much as you can. Her conclusion is that you either spend the time up front to train your team well, or you take a few hours every day to correct their work forever. That's a direct quote from her piece. So which would you prefer? I mean, which would you prefer? Would you prefer to invest that time in your people and in your process to do it well, be efficient, or would you just prefer to correct them all the time? She says managers shouldn't be coming up with all the answers. They shouldn't be slapping your hand when you come up with a bad idea.
Yeah.
You should be using the Socratic method to expose a better solution from the solutions that your team originally brings you.
And what strikes me of this is that, and it is so often on these management things that we talk about, it's really just common sense.
Yeah.
I mean, when you think about that list of things, who's it going to benefit? What's it for? Well, it's kind of like, duh. But I mean, very often, particularly, I will say that particularly in an environment where you've got really people who are excited about a product, who are innovative, who are idea people, it's not uncommon to come up with these really cool solutions for things that have no problem.
Right.
They're really sort of, wow, that's really cool. Yeah, isn't it?
You're not solving for anything.
You're not solving anything, but you're right. It's cool. Everybody needs a lit up toilet. God knows.
That is exactly right.
Just saying.
But how much goes into that? I mean, and sometimes, to a certain extent, that's okay. Sometimes the market can find you.
Yeah.
Apple was famous
Right,
for that.
yeah.
Sometimes the market can find you. And of course, Henry Ford's famous comment about, if people asked me what I wanted and they wanted 1900, my customers would have said faster horses. So,
right.
Those kind of stories are true too. But I mean, I think that what Westcow is saying in this piece is you want to be, we don't have a lot of time. We're all real busy. You want to be super hyper focused. If you're a leader, you got there for a reason. You're ostensibly a smart person, you're hopefully good at developing your people, but you really need to be as efficient as you can. And it's not only your time, it's their time too. You want to get them rigorously thinking so they spend less time churning through all these variables that may or may not matter. You get to the smart stuff that matters really right away.
Well, and I think once you've kind of gone through this process with your people, is that down the line somewhere, before they start introducing ideas, they will have gone through that process themselves. They're going to go, okay, my boss is going to ask me, who does this benefit? What are the hurdles? Can we measure success? My boss is going to be asking me that, so I need to think these things out ahead of time. So basically, you're training them to do that, which is really what she's saying, I believe. Yeah.
And I think she didn't say this, but I think it's probably true. You also need to keep pushing. I mean, they will eventually begin to start self-vetting themselves and bringing you all those answers up front, but then you need to push even further, because you can always go deeper. It's always surface until you really get into it and roll up your sleeves. So even when people say, okay, who is this for? Well, it's for this, 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 and this. All right, well, why? What about this, 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 and this as a market really matters? What are they doing now? What's serving them now? And get even deeper into it right away, because the faster you get to that next level and then level beyond that, the better you're going to be, because you really need to bring these things to market as fleshed out as they can be.
Yeah, because how many people are there who are going to buy a smart toilet? Well, at $8,000 each, you don't need a whole lot. So
you want some. You want some, at least.
You want some. All right. We had another column this week, one from Scott Birkin. His column this week was more thought-provoking to me than you might think at first glance. And his column asked the question, are engineers more creative than designers, or are designers more creative than engineers? So basically pitting engineers and designers against each other when it comes to creativity. And his article goes on, and the answer is, well, sometimes the answer is yes, sometimes the answer is no. Birkin points out that we all likely know some engineers who are very creative and some who are not. We also know some designers who are very creative and some who are not. And it isn't just the individual designer or engineer. It can also be the context, the challenge that each is presented with. And his article is all based really about engineers and designers and kind of this, and if you've ever worked in this environment, you know what I'm talking about. So the pat answer is, well, designers are the creative ones. They design it. They come up with all the bright ideas, and the engineers, well, they just implement it.
Right.
They just implement the designs, but it's really a lot more complicated about that. He goes on to make his argument. He points out kind of the common characteristics of both. So for instance, both designers and engineers have a passion for aesthetics. And aesthetics, by the way, aren't necessarily just what it looks like, but sometimes there's the aesthetics of how it works. Something that's not, there's pretty designs, not visually pretty, but just slick in the way the problem has been solved, right? So there's kind of aesthetic problem solving. Both designers and engineers have a preference for control. They have both have a reverence and arrogance for idea purity, that there is a right way to do certain things. Engineers for certain, but designers are as well. It's like, they design something, well, can't we do it this way? No, that's just not a good design, I mean, so this idea is kind of common between both of them, and also, a desire to make great things that help people. So it's a good article, and if you're an engineer or designer, you will most likely find yourself nodding your head at this. But to me, and why this kind of caught my attention, this idea goes deeper than engineers or designers. When you look at anybody on your team, do you pigeonhole them? Are you pigeonholing them? Well, she's a great salesperson, but could she possibly know about design? Right. I mean, she's a salesperson. She's not a designer. She doesn't know anything about design. Or maybe, Bob's a great machinist, but he doesn't have an engineering degree, so, he's just a machinist. What could he know? There's a real danger in pigeonholing people, and that is that you could be missing out on real untapped skills. And this goes deeper than just having Bob tackle an engineering task, for example. If you were to pair Bob the machinist with Jane, who has her master's in mechanical engineering, you might be surprised at what happens. Bob is very likely going to tackle a mechanical engineering challenge from a very different perspective. He's going to tackle that challenge from the perspective of the machinist who actually has to build these parts, whereas Jane's going to look at it from maybe traditional engineering perspectives. Both perspectives are important. You got to have both, but both together are really bigger than their sum. And I think we see this a lot in almost any environment. I mean, whether it's a manufacturing environment, or electronic engineering or mechanical engineering, whether it's in a strictly sales sales position, or a transactional, banking or service type positions, is we think that because this person has this title of this, that's their entire skill set. That's all they got. Right. And when they try to branch out, sometimes they're kind of tamped down because there's this idea that they don't have that skill set because that's not their title. Yeah. And I think there's a real danger in pigeonholing people like that.
Yeah, and I think teams are important because I think you have a team, and teams have discrete purposes within the framework of that. And many times you have extremely cross-functional teams in organizations. And yeah, you can pigeonhole people and say, well, that person is responsible for this piece of it. And oftentimes people that aren't responsible for that piece of it will have suggestions that just aren't honored that well. And if you don't do that, if you don't honor them, they're going to stop giving you those suggestions eventually. Right. And even if, let's say 5 of them are, all right, let's just use the word stupid. I've come up with a few stupid ideas in my time. That 6th one may really be useful. But if you don't work through the ideas that aren't quite as good, it's not that dissimilar to what we just talked about.
I was just going to say,
method and what Scout was talking about. Yeah. Where if you don't work through those things and get to the higher value ideas and keep on encouraging people to bring them to you, you're going to lose out on that. You don't know what you're even losing out on until you lose out on it. So, you really should encourage that free exchange of that from whatever a person's title is. It doesn't matter if you're an engineer or designer. The great idea is a great idea.
Right.
And like I say, Apple, we just talked about Apple in the previous story too. They were masters at this. And you talk about arrogant thinking. They were super arrogant. But they also evolved as time went along based on feedback from, I'm sure, from a lot of engineers and designers and salespeople and customer service people and customers.
Right.
Customers are important in this too.
Oh, sure.
They're ones that have a lot of great feedback also going into this kind of thing. So
interesting how those two articles actually kind of dovetail.
We didn't think about that, but they did.
You've got to encourage your employees to be able to present their ideas, even if those ideas are, let's say, outside their traditional role within the company. And this gets back, cross-functional teams. We actually haven't talked about cross-functional teams in a long time, but actually that's kind of the idea behind that, is if you've got a challenge, and maybe it's an engineering challenge, that's fine. You bring people in from all parts of the company, and they're going to have a perspective on this that just the engineer or the designer, those two people or those two groups, may not have the same perspective as the machinist, as the secretary from the front office who might be wanting to use that type of product. Maybe it's a consumer product, that sort of thing. And the more people you get involved in that design, then the more perspectives you get. And you might have to chuck a bunch of them. They may not make sense, but there may be some nugget in there where the engineer and the designer are going to go, oh, wow, yeah, we didn't think about that kind of usability issue, for instance.
Right. Yeah, very, very important to do that. And great organizations are kind of do this in their DNA, in their culture. But many of the others really need to kind of think about this kind of thing too.
Yep.
Yeah. All right, Dirk, we got a few minutes left in the show. We're gonna. I have an off script this week, and this is a true off script. Because I haven't scripted this at all. I've got a few my quick notes on this. Before I start, I should.
A prop?
Sorry, I have a prop.
The tissue. Oh man. All right.
Well,
got the last one.
Yeah, is that the last one? I may need one too, Dirk. So yes, I have an announcement for this week's off script. I want to let all of you know, our friends out there who watch this show and are Quality Digest fans. Many of you met for many, many years. This is my last day as publisher of Quality Digest.
Oh man!
This is you've known this, didn't I tell you?
I told you. I remember. Yeah.
This is my final day here as publisher of Quality Digest. I'm still going to be involved in the organization. You'll certainly see me in the digital pages of Quality Digest. I'll be doing some writing. I'll be involved in a certain sense with Quality Digest going forward, and certainly working with the team here. And it's, Dirk, it's been amazing. We've done this show since 2011.
Wow.
April of 2011.
That's a lot of time.
It's been 7.5 years. It's hard to imagine that it's been that long. I mean, this has been something that has been my Friday thing.
Right.
Every Friday, and I'm staying within quality. I'm still going to be doing some work in the quality space.
What else are you going to be doing, Mike?
I'm also going to be doing, interestingly enough, I'm going to be moving not so much into quality, but into a space that has a lot more peace and agreement. Politics.
Oh yeah.
That has been a flavor of mine, something that I've been getting involved with. They do a show.
As I believe one of your clients asked you this morning, are you crazy? You're going into what?
It's become a real avocation of mine. As you know, Dirk, I do a show called NorCal News Now with Chris Smith, and it's been something that I've come to love.
So this is kind of like as a writer or consultant?
It's as you think about it, and I've thought about this now for a while, the process of bringing a product to market or bringing the candidate to a campaign is not that dissimilar.
Yeah.
I mean, you identify the issues, you identify the benefits, and you sell it. You use media.
Or you lie about it, either way.
Whatever
works.
You try to be as honest as you can.
You come up with alternate facts, whatever works.
But this has been something that has been brewing for me for a while.
And for those of you who don't know Mike, I mean, you don't see, you've probably seen on the show, he is like a walking encyclopedia of American history, but he is also a complete political geek. I mean, so this is right up your alley.
Everything I see in that framework. One thing I want to say is, as I said, this has been brewing for me for quite some time. And I've been thinking about this and doing more of this. And it's been something that I've been afraid of. Quite frankly, I mean, Quality Digest has been my home. As publisher of Quality Digest for 15 years. It's going to be 15 years. And one thing I've learned doing this work at Quality Digest in the quality space, and from many of our viewers and our readers, is that change is an important part of being a person, just being a human being walking around the planet. And change isn't a bad thing. It's a great thing. It's a great opportunity. And I don't think I knew that as well when I came into this job as I do now. And I really appreciate that. I really appreciate that I got that perspective from everybody who I've worked with, my good friends here and all of my good friends out there. It's been quite a journey. And I want to just take one more moment. I want to thank the people that have made this show, because I know, Dirk, you're going to talk a little bit about the future of the show here for a minute, but I want to thank the people that have made this show, obviously Chris Smith and Noah Welday, who are our production team now, as well as Daniel Luna in the past, Cameron Lammers, Dylan Schimmel. I had to write down some of these names because I forgot them. Chris Martin, who helps on the board back there, and of course is our account manager. Dirk, yourself, our editor-in-chief, as well as our co-host of the show. Jeff Dewar and Christine Bammert, our ownership group, as well as April Johnson and Laurel Tennis, Taryn March, Ryan Day. Did I forget anybody? I think I got it right.
I think you got them all.
Mentioned Christopher also.
Random cats here and there.
all my great good friends, and it's been my great honor to work with all of you and all of you out there. So.
That's right, buddy.
Tell me about Quality Digest.
Well, I'll tell you what. So going forward, show's going to change a little bit. Obviously, it wouldn't make sense to try to replace kind of the chemistry that Mike and I have had over the years. So we're going to do this a little bit differently. Going forward, this is going to be more an interview show. And so we want you to tell us, who do you want us to interview? Who do you want us to bring on the show? We're going to try to bring, obviously, folks from NIST, as soon as NIST opens back up.
I'll be working on that, people.
You'll be working on that. Get that government open so we can get some guests on the show. So, we're going to be interviewing people from NIST, people from industry, obviously the people that do the webinars with us. We're going to continue to have them on to kind of expand upon the topics they're going to talk about on their webinar. But we want to hear from you too. Who in industry or related to your industry would you like to have come on the show so that I can interview them? And we'll do it our usual interview format. Most of the time they'll show up via Skype, and we'll be here in the studio and we'll talk to them via Skype. These will be longer interviews than we typically do. Typically our interviews are maybe 8, 9, 10 minutes. These will be a little bit more lengthy, so not too long, but maybe 15 minutes, maybe 20 minutes at the very tops, but so that we can get a little bit more in depth with some of these issues. So if you have something in mind, somebody you want us to bring on the show to interview, send us an email to qdl@qualitydigest.com and we will bring them on. For instance, pretty soon we're going to have Stanley Chow on the show, interviewing Stanley. Stanley is a consultant that helps hook up American companies with Chinese companies, and we're going to be talking about how the current trade climate between the US and China is impacting the supply chain, and maybe what are some things that companies can be doing to mitigate the current issue, and maybe even be looking down the road a little bit, should trade get worse, or maybe even if it improves. There are changes going on in China. So we'll be talking to Stanley about that. So you got the idea. So send your ideas to us, who you want us to bring on the show, at qdl@qualitydigest.com, and we'll try to get them on.
I will be watching.
And you will be watching.
I will be watching.
All right. And buddy, it's been awesome.
It's been great for me. Thank you.
And we'll be seeing Mike. Mike's not going anywhere very far. He's only a mile down the road.
That's right. I'll be around. You may even see me back on this show as well too. So
there may not be a show next week. We're kind of in the process of transitioning, so there may or may not be a show next week. There definitely will be the week after next. So that would be next week's the 18th. So 25th for sure. Maybe on the 18th. But as usual, keep your eye open on your email for announcements. And that is it for today. Good job, buddy. Shake your hand once again. Good luck. And watch out for those politicians coming down the road with Mike behind them. Could be scary. All right.
Have a great weekend, everybody.
We'll see you at the next show.
Bye-bye.
Seriously, we're leaving.
You just can't bear to say goodbye.